Holy crap, it's Saul. Sonic Frontiers has been out for a few months now, and it's safe to say at this point that the community has been pretty happy with the game. But even though the general consensus has been that the game is pretty good, both the fans and Sonic team themselves have been hard at work trying to make the game even better. Or worse. So today we'll be taking a look at all of the new official content that has been added, along with some fan mods that I've been playing around with. And yeah, these have been pretty interesting so far. Also, I was able to pick up the Switch version since my last Frontiers video, so I will also be giving my opinions on that version of the game as well. So stick around until the end if you want to hear my thoughts on that. Alright, we got a lot to cover here, so let's get started. So to begin with, we have the main thing that really inspired me to make this video, and that is the Sights, Sounds, and Speed update that just released a week or so ago. I originally thought this was going to be a pretty bare-bones update with not a whole lot to do to hold us over until the larger updates, but I was pleasantly surprised by what we got here. Starting with the most basic addition, we have the photo mode, which I haven't played around with much because I'm not really into the whole video game photography thing. I'm more into rambling about said games. But photo modes have become a pretty standard thing to include in games nowadays, so it makes sense why it's here, and I'm sure a lot of people are going to enjoy it. But now on to the additions that I was a little more excited about, starting with the jukebox. As much as I love the normal overworld music, sometimes it's nice to get rid of the calm atmospheric music and run around the islands to not calm and atmospheric music. When they first announced this, I thought we were just going to get a few songs that were already in the game's soundtrack, like you could listen to Ares Island music on Chronos, but I got it totally wrong. We have a ton of music from across the entire series, and I was pleasantly surprised to see some of the tracks that got in. There were even quite a few songs from 06, which is great because no matter your opinion on that game, you have to admit that the soundtrack is amazing. And it doesn't stop there. We have tracks from most notable games in the series, including some from Secret Rings, Mania, the adventure games. There is such a wide variety of music from the series that I feel like most fans will be very satisfied by this addition. The only real complaint I have is that whenever you encounter a mini-boss in the overworld, it turns off the jukebox music to play the boss music, and sometimes the mini-bosses is when I want the jukebox music the most, so it kind of sucks that it's like that, but hopefully that will get fixed at some point. Another thing I really liked about the jukebox is that it also doubled as a new collectible to go for. There are already like a million different collectibles to go for in this game, but I honestly think it kind of works in the game's favor. Usually whatever you're doing will end up nabbing you something to use, whether it be gears for the cyberspace portals or coins for the fishing minigame. And now with the new music note collectibles, you can add something else to the pile. These aren't really super hard to find. It was one of the first things I did when I played the new update, and it didn't take me long. But I do like the idea of being rewarded with cool music tracks for finding these, instead of a lot of nothing like you get after getting so many of the other collectibles. But before we get into what I consider to be the main dishes of this new update, we also have some quality of life features. You can now disable things like the slot machine, that could get a little annoying, but most importantly of all, you can now upgrade your stats more than one at a time at the Elder Cocoa. Wish they would have done that before I maxed out all my stats, because I think that added like an hour to my playtime, but no, it's fine. I'm glad they fixed it. Now on to the two biggest additions to the game, Cyberspace Challenge and Battle Rush. Cyberspace Challenge is basically just playing cyberspace levels back to back, and cyberspace is still cyberspace. My opinions haven't changed a whole lot on that. This mode does give you a little more incentive to replay through the levels, which is nice, but the levels still kind of suck. But we also have the new Battle Rush mode, which is a much more exciting addition. This mode has you complete special combat challenges for each of the 4 main islands. Your power in this mode is based off of the save file you choose to play on, which I like because it makes me feel like I didn't completely waste my time maxing out my stats. You have rankings in this mode, and like in cyberspace, it's time-based, and I'll be honest, after the first island, I was definitely struggling with it. I'm not amazing at the combat in this game, since the game itself never really required you to be, so adding in that time factor really helped ramp up the challenge. I think this is great as it gives me something to do when I come back to the game every once in a while, and also gives me something I can actually try and improve on, unlike in cyberspace where you basically get S ranks for just loading into the level. And apparently when you beat all of the challenges for each island with an S rank, including the one where you play all of them back to back, you unlock the extreme difficulty where you die in one hit. Yeah, I'll be honest, I'm not super eager to unlock this mode, as it sort of just feels like a bullcrap challenge instead of a fun challenge, but I'm sure there are a few strange people out there who would enjoy it. Oh yeah, and you can finally replay the Titan bosses in Battle Rush mode, which is awesome. Those boss fights are amazing. Overall, I think this was a pretty good update. Most of it was just old content repackaged in a new way, but hey, it gives me more to do in this game, and that's all good with me. Now it's time to get into the fun stuff. One thing Sonic fans have always been known for is, well, yes, that too, but also their very impressive fan projects. It's been only a few months, and the game already has a pretty sizable modding community with tons of new character skins, improvements to the game, and some cosmetic changes to some of the islands and levels. If you want to check out any of the mods talked about in this video, go check out gamebanana. It's where I found everything in this video. The first mod I want to talk about is the open zone physics in cyberspace. This mod makes cyberspace feel a lot better as it puts the customizable controls of the open zones into cyberspace, making everything feel a lot less awkward. Turning is no longer a monumental task, you can just turn, and most actions just feel a lot better than they did before. The levels still aren't very good, but the developer for this mod wasn't done there. He released an updated version of the mod that adds momentum to both the open worlds and cyberspace. In the regular game, your speed doesn't really fluctuate that much. You're either just running normally or boosting. But with this mode, things like hills and terrain around you actually affect your speed. If you run down a large enough hill, you can go just as fast as the boost without using it. And then when you do boost, instead of just going back to the normal speed when you stop boosting, the momentum from your boost carries over. The only problem I noticed is that when you lose momentum on a rail, you just kind of stop no matter where you are on it. Overall, it doesn't make a huge difference and it doesn't completely change the game for me, but I do enjoy playing with it as it's pretty fun to mess around with and see the kind of speeds you can reach with it. But as per usual, most of the mods made for the game are different character models to replace Sonic with. First up, we have these two mods that try to give Sonic this 2D look, which I really like. The first one I found gives him a style similar to Sonic Mania, while the second one I found looks more like some of the artwork found from the Adventure era. I think that both of these models look really nice, and it's cool to see people go for more creative ideas like this in these mods. But there's one problem with this mod. You're still playing as Sonic, and for some reason, no one seems to want to do that in Sonic games. I mean, why play as Sonic when you can play as Kirby? With some weird looking arms. We also have this epic Mickey mod. I like those games, so that's pretty cool. We also have this really nice looking Metal Sonic mod. Not a whole lot to say about it other than I really like it. The next mod we have is Oh My. So adding a Minecraft character model into Sonic Frontiers, not really that big of a deal. But if you didn't notice, this mod allows you to add custom skins into the game. This means that you can basically play as whatever character you want as long as you're okay with them looking a little blocky. Look at Minecraft me go. Sonic Frontiers has a pretty large focus on combat, and there aren't many other games in the series that I can say that about except for Unleashed or maybe... So this mod basically edits the regular Sonic model to look a little more like the Boom design. In my opinion, the Sonic Boom design really isn't that bad, and it kind of fits this game. They also changed some of the animations to look more like Boom, and I thought that was a nice touch. As much as I have been enjoying Sonic Frontiers, I think there's just something missing here. Something that could really make this game stand out. I fixed it. Sol Frontiers is a mod that greatly improves the title screen of the game as well as some other things. The boost meter is now the slip meter, and the boss names have also been changed to fit the new Sol theme. And I think some of these new names might fit the bosses more than their original names. We also have some mods that can change how the open worlds and levels look. I have downloaded a few mods to try and make cyberspace a little more interesting. I really like this one that turns Green Hill into a snow-themed level. We also have mods that can change the way the islands look, like this one that changes Kronos Island to be set during the fall, and this other mod that turns Ares Island into a snowy island instead of a desert. Overall, the mods for this game have been super fun so far, and I'm looking forward to the future to see all of the weird things the community will make. So the final thing I wanted to do in this video is give my thoughts on the Switch version of the game. I originally bought the game on PC because I wanted to make sure that the game ran well and also could do some other stuff as well. But I'm sure the Switch is how a lot of people are going to experience this game, and plus I wanted a way to play it on the go, so I thought it would be nice to give my thoughts on this version. First things first, yeah, this looks pretty rough. The entire game has been downgraded to 720p in this version, even in docked mode, which when you're playing on a TV or large screen, it becomes very noticeable. Also, you know how the pop-in is sort of a problem in the other versions of the game? Well, it is so much worse here. Things are literally popping in like right in front of you. Also, the game has been downgraded to 30 FPS. Good thing is that from what I can tell, it's a pretty stable 30 FPS, so at least it's not fluctuating. But really the main reason you would buy this version of the game is if you wanted to play it portably and don't have something like a Steam Deck. While the resolution is a little less noticeable, you can still see a lot of the other problems with this version. Unless you only have a Switch, I really wouldn't recommend this version. It works fine and acts as a decent version of the game for Switch users, but if you have other options, then you should definitely go for one of those. It's been nice to see that even though the launch hype is over, fans and Sonic Team themselves are still trying to improve the game and make it better. It's clear that so much passion has gone into this game from everyone working on it, officially or not, and I'm guessing the modding community is nowhere near done with this game, and we still have 2 more big updates to go. So I guess I'll see you all in round 3.